For KDSJ Local Sports, Clayson Davis reporting up here in Belle Fourche to preview the Belle Fourche girls and boys wrestling season here today. And I'm joined by head coach Cory Neuharth of the Belle Fourche Bronx joining us. Coach, thanks for the time.
Hey, you're welcome, Clayson. Always appreciate the opportunity to talk about our program.
As you guys have a very experienced team this season, you have 11 returners. You graduated only 3 from last season's squad. What's the benefit of having such an experienced team this season?
You might call it like battle tested, right? They've had that opportunity to go through those harder tournaments in those seasons, and or the season itself, right? The season gets long. We start mid November. And we're almost 3 weeks into practice before we get actual competition. So, and then when we get into January is a long grind. And so just for those kids to know what the end goal is with those seasoned wrestlers, to kind of help those younger kids out and encourage them and mentor them along.
Looking at the off-season, Coach, how have some of your kids gotten better over the past year, ever since their last official meet last year?
So if you're talking, at the end of the state tournament, right? I talked to some kids personally, and I talked to them. I'm like, hey, here's where you need to make your improvement. Like I just said, weight room. You got to weight. I want to see you 10 pounds heavier. And we did have a few kids. We had Riley Dighton, Garrett Houston, and Luke Tonsager. They were all part of our junior national dual team. That team went to Madison, Wisconsin. So, I mean, that's an experience, getting to see that level and caliber of kids all across the country. Like I said, I had open, called the Black Hills Freestyle Club, open mats in the summer for kids, not just here, but I invited kids from, Spearfish, Sturgis, wherever they wanted to come in and get opportunity to do that. And then also Kyra Vandenberg, she went to Fargo this year, Fargo National Tournament, and that's the largest freestyle and Greco tournament in the country. There was well over 7,000 kids entered in that tournament.
Describe some of the strengths and weaknesses you feel like you have for this year's team.
Strength is we do have those returners. There's a few that I would like to see here. In a weakness that did not come back out this year for whatever reason that might be, and that's unfortunate that happened, because they could really help to fill some holes in there. But the ones that are here, those strengths are with those veterans kids, just having that, and honestly open communication. I talk to the kids a lot. I'm like, hey, how are things going in practice? What would you like to see different? What can we do to help you improve? But like I just said, that weakness is few number of kids that didn't come out this year that were out last year that definitely could have helped fill some spots this year. Been a strong, solid backup.
With numbers down this season, Coach, are there any up and comers that you haven't had to rely on in years past that you feel like you might expect a little bit more from this year?
As far as new kids and up and comers, I mean, the ones that we do have in here, majority of them are kids that have been here a number of years. I honestly feel every kid has a job to do this year. Every kid's important. They have a role, because we're not 1 or 2 or 3 deep in certain weight classes. Again, we've got our lighter weights. We've got Caden Swaning, Cooper Connery, looking to do good things. The middle weights there, we've got Riley Dighton, Garrett Houston, Kobe Bowden. And upper weights, we've got Spencer Bush, has been here for a while. We've got Charlie Houck. He's a new kid to wrestling. He's gonna hopefully be at 190. I mean, he's got a background in jiu-jitsu or taekwondo. I'm not sure which one it is, so that helps carry things over too. And we've got Luke Tonsager he'll probably be at heavyweight. He's got a hand injury that he's nursing right now. So goal is to have him back early part of January.
As head coach Cory Neuharth joins us with KDSJ Sports, previewing some Belle Fourche Bronx girls and boys wrestling. Looking at the girls' side, as far as the returners that you'll rely on, newcomers, what does that look like for 2026?
Well, and we took a big hit in our seniors last year. We had 6 girls um, that graduated, and so of the 3 that possibly were returning, we only got 2 of those back. One of those girls did not, didn't come out this year. So we've got 2 returning girls. Kyra Vandenberg, which, like I said already, is a state or returning state runner-up, and then we've got Leah Munt as well. She wasn't a state qualifier, but she's always, in there and holding her own and help to get points for the team, wherever that might be. We've got a couple new girls that are out. They're freshman girls, and then another sophomore girl that this is kind of her first year out, and she's coming along. Jasmine Reason's coming along really well, and we've actually got some middle school girls. As soon as their season's done, they're going to be coming up, and I think they're going to be good to be able to fill some empty spots that we have as well.
In preparation for your first triangular that's coming up tomorrow here in Belle Fourche, and as well as that Madison tournament coming up as well, what are you trying to get your team to focus on here in the early season that you feel like will help them throughout this 2026 campaign?
We mentioned a lot. Consistency builds confidence. So we got to be consistent. We got to be consistent in the things that we do. Whether it's even if it's in the wrestling room and out of the wrestling room. We talk about being student athletes, right? They're student athletes. So just staying consistent with their nutrition, taking care of themselves. They get banged up a little bit. We haven't competed yet, but once we start competing, there's bound to be hope. I hope not, but something come up. But just being consistent, and then we've got, well, you mentioned Madison, but we got the Rapid City Invite before Madison. And Rapid City Invite, I mean, if you ever been there, that's just as tough or probably tougher than the state tournament sometimes possibly. But with Madison, managing our weight, right? Early in the season here when we got the OPC and our descent plans in place, it's going to take some time for some kids to spread out. We're bunched up in a couple weight classes right now, so we can't spread out. So we've got some open weight classes that we're going to be giving up 6 points right away. So just being consistent, taking our time, keeping our weight in check, and doing things right.
You guys have won the Black Hills Conference last season, and you've always competed in the Black Hills Conference at a high level throughout your tenure. As far as this year's conference outlook, what do you feel like your team is able to do as far as conference meets go, and where do you just give me your outlook as far as the Black Hills Conference as a whole?
I'll say the same thing I said with another interview is like I 100% feel we can come out back-to-back champions again. The end of the year, end of the season last year, and even this summer, I challenged the kids early on. I'm like, that should be one of our goals, to be Black Hills Conference champions again, defend that title, and I believe we can do that. Right, everybody stays healthy. That's in January, mid-January, and sometimes there's bumps and bruises along the way, and kids aren't healthy. But I hope for the best, and we do have another middle school boy coming up, Jace Olson, an 8th grader that'll help us come up and hopefully fill a 113-pound spot for us too. And he's a good little scrapper, and I think he'll do well filling in that spot.
And finally, Coach, give me your expectations and goals for the season as a whole, both girls and boys, and what are your expectations for your home triangular coming up tomorrow?
Well, first the home triangular, right? Just kind of going back to last year, we went 1-1 there. We won against Douglas and took a loss to Phillip. Phillip's always a really top 3-5 team in the state at Class B. And again, really it just comes down to numbers and weight classes, and if we have to juggle and move some kids around. Obviously I hope we can come out on top on both of them. But again, like I said, it's early in the season, and we're going to be giving up some points right away. As far as, that big outlook too, is one thing I talked about is, initially I wanted to be part of the state dual team. They changed that this year where instead of taking 8, they take the top 10 teams for the state duals. And I really wanted to be part of that this year and thought we could do that. Right now, looking at our numbers, that's going to be tough to do. And you got to have a minimum of 10 duels to qualify or be considered for that. We're at 9 duels right now. Kind of started, we still have an opportunity to add, but that time's kind of running out. But, take a look at that and see where our numbers are and see how we compete early in the season as a dual team.
Awesome. Coach Neuharth, thanks for the time joining
Yeah.
KDSJ Sports, and looking forward to seeing the Broncs in action this season.
All right.